Hello, welcome to Get Your Mind On. I'm Lori Stohs. Well, it was about 2 years ago, and I was in a office downtown with one of my leaders named Randy. And I walked in that day. Randy and I, were used to seeing each other pretty consistently, and he really looked down. He was just kind of frustrated and just kind of angry. And I said, "What's going on?" And he's like, "I'm just so frustrated. They just don't get it." They just don't get it. What's going on? He's like, "I just have this great idea. I've been trying to work on these types of things that we're working on, and I'm like excited about it, and I want to move forward with it, and nobody gets it." I went, "Wow, okay, well, let's talk about it. What's the idea?" So Randy shared with me his idea, and he's like, "I don't understand it. They just don't get it." So we stopped and paused, and I said, "Okay, well, let's think about this. Is it you or is it them?" So when we have people who don't get it, maybe sometimes you have people in that area of your life where you are so excited about something, it's so clear in your mind, you know exactly where we're going, but they don't get it. So we have to stop at those situations and say, first, is it me or is it them? So first, when we think about it, is it us? Is it us that maybe has something in our mind that we've been thinking about it for a really long period of time? We've been processing it, we've been mulling it around, and we think it's clear as day. But we have realized that we haven't been sharing it with everybody else, right? We've been working on our heads for so long, and now we get it. We talk about it, and they're like, "I don't get it." So that's frustrating. So we have to first step back and say, number one is, am I clear? Am I clear on what I'm wanting to accomplish and what are we looking for the outcome to be? So I think it's always thinking about how do we bring people along and how do we kind of back up in our heads to say, one, this is the goal we're working to achieve. Two is, here's how we're going to do it, and really have conversations and bring people along. I find that when we go down this path with people, sometimes creating a model or drawing something helps people see. Because we've been processing for so long, again, we should be able to kind of regurgitate it or bring it down. But some of us have that talent in our heads that we just see things so clearly, and not everybody does. So I think the best thing for that is to create a model or draw a picture. Think of the words and then draw a picture up and help people bring them along to it. So I think that's important. Two is we also have to think about being open, is that we have to be open to, we may be processing this in our minds, but really being open to others' opinions around it. And if we create that outcome that we're working to accomplish, we might think it's pretty clear in our heads, but really opening it up and allowing other people to attach to it and get excited about it, that will bring them along. Because again, if they're not getting it, you kind of have to help them get it in their own way. Everybody processes different. And that's one thing we have to make sure of, is to really get a full solution on something. It's really good to get lots of different perspectives so they are able to give their input and also be a part of that. Three, I think we have to also believe that we know where we're heading, and we have to believe in the process and know that it takes time to get there. So for us to be thinking about it a long period of time and get people there, that's not always realistic. So as we got to thinking about how do we bring other people along, my conversation with Randy then went a little further to say, who in your organization gets you or thinks like you do? So he kind of looked at me like, oh, okay, because he's used to just dealing with his executive team, and he's used to just having conversations with those around him, probably more often than the whole team. And I said, find people that you know think like you do, because that will frustrate you less, okay? That doesn't mean that's where we just have to go because we need everybody's opinion. But when you find people who think like you do, I said, find people who think like you do or attach to your kinds of ideas. But second, I want you to think about them in different layers of the organization. So instead of just bringing around the people that you're used to bring in people that think like you deeper in the organization so that you guys can get together and you can share that idea so they're on board with you, and then we can distribute the messaging out to others. So what that does is, if we're wanting to implement a strategy or help people come along with something, we are having more people in different parts of the organization being able to message that, because sometimes we get frustrated that others don't get it. So we have to always remember, when we have a new idea or when we're like, people don't get it, we have to really understand why they don't get it. Again, sometimes it's our messaging and our communication, but think about the people who are receiving that message and who they are and where they come from. because again, we all come from a different perspective. So for positive charge, do you have people around you who don't get it? Then secondly, look in the mirror and say, what do I need to do to think about how I can maybe message or make it clearer? And 3 is, who are others that could help me advocate this message? So when we think about it every day, I used a business example, but you can probably think about this in your personal life and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to go down this path and they just don't get it. My family's not on board with it. Step back. This could be in all parts of our lives when other people don't get it. But we have to recognize it's whatever is so clear for us isn't always clear for others. And that's what makes great teams. That's what makes great outcomes. And that's what makes life enjoyable, because we can all see things from different perspectives and collaborate for a better outcome. Thanks for joining us today, and remember to get your mind on.